Hey folks, it's Greg and Janet, and today we're in Jefferson, Texas, which is a very historical town or city in Texas. Now, first of all, Jefferson, Texas at one time was the capital of the Republic of Texas before it became a state. Today, it's a touristy town. A lot of historic buildings. In fact, through the main part of town, most all of the buildings and houses have historical markers in front of them. This bayou right in front of me here is the Big Cypress Bayou, and this bayou actually helped with the founding of the town. In 1841, Jefferson was founded on land that was ceded from the Caddo Indians. At the time, it had a log jam that was 100 miles long. So it was just all blocked up. But what it had done, it had raised the water level of the Caddo Lake and the bayou itself somewhere between, I would guess, 10 and 14 feet based on where the water level is now compared to where the water line is underneath the bridges here. Well, nobody knew how long the log jam had been here. In fact, when they asked the Indians said it's been here forever. So this town became a huge port town. In fact, it was the largest port west of the Mississippi River. And when the town was founded, they would bring in shipments from New Orleans and from St. Louis by way of the Mississippi River. The town grew quickly. At one point, there was upwards of 30,000 people living here, making it the 6th largest town in Texas. They had made several attempts to remove the 100-mile-long log jam so that the river could go back to, or the bayou could go back to its normal flow. But they were always unsuccessful until the invention of nitroglycerin. In 1873, they decided to use nitroglycerin to try to blow up the 100-mile-long log jam. It worked. All the logs flowed through, the ones that weren't blown out of the river and onto the banks. But the problem was that when the natural flow to the river came back, it dropped the level of the water, those 10 to 14 feet I was talking about. It could no longer support large cargo ships and paddle boats. So what was the largest port west of the Mississippi became a useless bayou. So the town eventually went from upwards of 30,000 people down to its current day population of about 1,800. So not having the port here destroyed this city. And the people were just trying to, do what they thought was best to clear the log jam. It's a shame that that happened, but what it's left is a really neat tourist town with a lot of historic buildings and a lot of history. This town was named after Thomas Jefferson, and it's a little golden nugget here in East Texas. If you ever get a chance to come out and visit, there's a lot of very historic buildings. A lot of the stores on the main streets here are original from the 1850s and 1860s. A lot of bed and breakfast, some really good food. And actually, the reason that we came down to this location, somewhere back over beyond this fence here, is a ordnance magazine. Now, an ordnance magazine is where they would keep explosives like dynamite, nitroglycerin. And that ordnance magazine dates back to the 1850s or 1860s. So we located it on the map. We came out here to find it. We've seen pictures of it. It's actually pretty cool. It sits right on the bank. So it's got to be right in this area. But this is private property now on the other side of the fence. So we can't get over there.
Right.
So, but you do get a good look of the bayou here. And a little story about how the town of Jefferson was founded and how the town of Jefferson died.
get a fishing pole. Nah.
There probably is a lot of fish in that one because there's not going to be a lot of traffic going up and down that bayou.
Yeah.
They do have some tour boats that travel the bayou and Caddo Lake, but we weren't able to book that. But yeah, I bet there's some good fish in here.
I see little ripples in the water and stuff. I bet there's some catfish.
Hey guys, we are at Auntie Skinner's Riverboat Club. It's a bar and grill, and this building that it's housed in is an original building from the 1850s, and it's one of the few buildings in town that has never been modernized, other than, you know, the facade's never been modernized. So of course they added electricity and stuff. But if you look at the front here, this is the entrance. See, there's actually 3 sets of double doors, which is very reminiscent of what you see in New Orleans in the French Quarter, the old building. So this building is kind of modeled after the French Quarter style buildings in New Orleans. Now, originally, the owner of this establishment was U.S. Senator C.A. Culberson of Jefferson. His son, David Culberson, would later be elected governor of Texas. But I have not even seen this yet. I just heard about it. I'm going to go back to the back of the bar and show you guys something really cool. Now, as we told you, Jefferson was a very large port city, and most of the dock workers on the ports, at the ports, didn't speak or they were illiterate, so they didn't read or write. But you see this giant King of Spades up here? I think it's massive. It's poster size. Now, I didn't know this until we came here, but the dock workers who were illiterate couldn't read or write, of course. They had to have a way of marking the pallets for shipment. Most of the dock hands knew how to play poker or whatever game was popular at that time, so they would use giant playing cards, prints of giant playing cards they would attach to the pallets. And the King of Spades meant Jefferson. Jefferson, Texas. So at the time, if you had something you wanted to ship to Jefferson, Texas, and let's say you were in New Orleans, well, the dock workers would put that giant King of Spades on the pallet. And that way, all along its travels, when it went from port to port, the dock workers would see that King of Spades and know that it goes to Jefferson, Texas. That's how they kept the shipments from being dropped off at the wrong locations. That is pretty cool that something like that, that's paper or cardboard, has lasted all these years, and I bet there's very few of them still around.
Pretty cool.
A little bit of Jefferson history for you guys.
Strange RV tours will take you places with Greg and Janet's smiling faces. You might see a crazy flavored soda review or some tips to fix your RV too. So come along, won't you join us, friend, as we discover what's around the bend. Just sit right back in your easy chair. Strange RV Tours is on the air. Strange RV Tours is on.